So start number 2 of the Coyote swap. No, sounds pretty awesome. Did you hear it start to smooth out?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's gonna be like
I'm happy. Back out in the garage again with the shop supervisor. He's laying down over here to my right on the floor. But I thought I'd do a little summary of the game plan for the next steps on the car here. Now that I got the good old Coyote running in it, that's been sitting in the corner of the garage, as I've said, for probably about 5 or 6 years now. So pretty excited about that. Kind of just trying to gather my thoughts of the next steps for the car here. So I've been trying to write stuff down on a nice little dry erase board here. So the other side's Norton stuff that's sitting over in the corner, the old Norton motorcycle. But I just kind of thought I'd talk about my game plan, try not to look at that too much. But my biggest thing is I just want to start cleaning things up. Like I've mentioned, I got all my hack job wiring here. Everything's kind of sitting just out and about and willy-nilly. So the next thing I want to do is get this car cleaned up to the point where I could probably paint the inside of the car, paint the roll bar, paint the underneath of the car, paint the engine bay. And I'm thinking about I'm pretty certain I'm going to keep the stock color of the car, but go with like a tinted clear coat. But I wasn't going to clear coat underneath the hood, so kind of my thought right now is I'm going to paint the bottom side of the car, the inside of everything that's under the fenders and under the hood, like a gunmetal gray color or something like that. So I haven't decided that with 100% certainty, but that's kind of the way I'm thinking right now. So I want to get all of my wiring cleaned up, want to get the fuel system cleaned up the way I want it, get all the accessories on the engine. Okay, my GoPro's playing games with me and it's just stopping all on its own. Where did I leave off? So I want to clean up wiring, get all the brackets on the engine, get the accessories on the engine, the air conditioning pump, compressor, the alternator, power steering. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to get that laid out. I want to get the intake in there. I'm trying to figure out how I want to run that. I want to try to keep it all underneath the stock hood as much as possible. So And then I want to build, I'm trying to decide if I want to build a box kind of in the corner of the engine compartment, or if I want to run a tube through the Scott Rod Fab inner fender and have a air filter sitting on that side, or on the other side there. Get all the fuel lines run properly underneath the car, get all my electrical all buttoned up. And then the other big thing too is getting all the brake lines run, figuring out where I'm going to run all that so that I'm not marring up paint or having to drill more holes in the bottom of the car when it's just been painted or something like that. Then I want to get onto the interior of the car too. Like I said, I had to rig into some of the original Fox body wiring, so my thought process there is to pull some of that wiring back into the interior compartment of the car and get all that run so that it's hooked up to the Terminator X in a neat fashion. And I do have kind of an unconventional thought of where I'm going to put that Terminator X, since I do want to run all the heat and AC and everything in the car. I'm not certain I want to put that up underneath the dash, so maybe I want to say that, maybe I don't. But yeah, I'm actually thinking about putting that Terminator X so it's kind of mounted on like a framework that's on the passenger side and the kind of in that low slung door bar and kind of encapsulated in there somehow. But I'll kind of figure that stuff out. Want to get that rewired, get a battery box in the back, get those power distribution bars in a proper spot, get all my wiring cut to length, to the right length that I want it to be when it's done, along with same thing with the fuel pump wiring. I want to get that so it's all the right length, get it all routed nicely and neatly, get it all loomed up. Again, I want to get that so that it's in its spot that's going to be, so that I want to get the interior of the car kind of painted up. I think the biggest thing there is with those through the floor subframe connectors that are bare steel yet. I want to get some sort of coating on that, and also I do have a buddy that's working on making me some custom seat brackets for the seats that are going to go in the car. So I'm kind of waiting on that yet, and I'll have to get, I want to run 4-point harnesses in there. So I'm kind of waiting for those seat brackets and seeing how I'm going to tie into that, or tie into the floor or whatever, and onto the roll cage too for the seat harnesses, seat belts, the seat belt harnesses. The other thing too is along with the brake system, get the cooling system all set up, so I'll have to run wiring too. I got the contour fans that I am putting in there, so I'll have to run wiring off of the ECU to control that too. So I'll have to get all that figured out, get an alternator on there, figure out how I'm going to get that wired and run that. I think that's kind of the big stuff. I mentioned the alternator. I got all the power by the hour stuff so that I can run the AC compressor, and then that alternator will be up on the front side of the engine. Other things that I didn't mention yet too, I have a little bit of rust on one of those rear frame rails where it's got like the shock for the rear bumper that hangs out the back. On the bottom side of that frame rail, there's a little bit of corrosion in the frame rail starting to kind of pop out of there, so I'll cut that out and weld in a piece of sheet metal for that, but that's pretty minor, I think. The other big thing too is, of course, is getting exhaust on the bottom side of this car. I want to get that done before I run the car too much more. One other thing to mention too is, like I had talked about before, I do want to run some pretty beefy wheels and tires on here, so I did get a wheel fitment tool. So I had this popping up on my Instagram feed all the time, this Ramstead Manufacturing, that's a wheel fitment tool. So I figure I'll order that up and just make sure I'm getting the exact wheel that I want. I do have one in mind. I'm going to kind of keep that one a secret for now. But I do plan on running an 18 by 11 inch wheel with a 315 tire on it all the way around. So like I've mentioned before, I do want to do kind of a wide body on this car. I'm still kind of thinking about exactly how I want to do that. Plus this front wheel's an inch and a half forward from the stock location, so I'll have to, my plan for that is to get that moved, that wheel opening moved up further. But I think I do want to get these wheels and tires figured out and get that stuff ordered right away so I can get that sitting on the car, so that I'm basically going to build my wide body around that whole setup. So again, I think I had talked about before, I'm not going for super low. I'm going for a nice ride height, but something that's more for function than for form. Just because I want this car to be fast and handle well. So I'm more concerned about that. But I will be getting wheels and tires ordered, and once I do figure out my wheel fitment that I want to go with, then once wheels are here, I'll probably get some tires ordered and get those here as quick as I can, and hopefully I can find a shop that can get some tires mounted without marring up my brand new set of wheels. And but yeah, that's my plan moving ahead, and I'm gonna take all you guys along for the ride. So I was out here last night, and I wish I would have recorded this last night, but I started just testing out for some wheel fitment here. So I got this guy here. I saw this on Instagram all over my feed for a while for this Ramstead Manufacturing. So it's a wheel fitment tool. So I wish I would have recorded it on the front. It was kind of neat. At first I put it on there and I forgot to put the brake rotor on. So I popped the brake rotor on like you can see here on the rear. So I got it set up. I want to do an 18 by 11. So here you got the 18 inch. Down on the bottom here, it's a little harder to see, but this stuff looks like it's all 3D printed, and it even came with the little tool and all the hardware to put it all together. So this is a neat little setup. So you set it up for your 18 inch wheel. I want to do an 11 inch rim, so you can kind of see that there. But the only thing I could say for like room for improvement is to actually have something, because I know a lot of people are concerned about clearance out at a fender, and I'm not really concerned about that, and my shop supervisor just cannot get enough attention. But I wish they had something to mimic the full width of the rim instead of just the outside edge of the rim. I just ended up taking an old wooden ruler and splitting it in half, and I want an 11 inch rim, so I actually went to about 11 1/4 to make up a difference for what the bead would probably be on the wheel. And then just played around with all the different offsets. So you can see right here, you just undo one little screw and you can check a bunch of different offsets. So what I figured here at full droop is about the most offset you could have is 30, and that's just for the wheel itself. I'm sure you have to make up some slack for like tire bulge and that sort of thing. But what I figured is, kind of what I'm thinking is, well, I'll have to do an 18 by 11 with either a positive 10 or 0 offset in order to have good clearance for everything. Right now it's set up at a 0 offset, so you can see we're gonna have to go pretty wide with a wide body to make it clear. So, but that's what I wanted. And same story for the front with the 10 or 0 offset. That's sticking out about that far basically. So pretty similar to what it is in the rear, to tell you the truth. It's pretty close. It's probably a little more, but that's what I'm figuring out for a wheel fitment. So I'm not going to talk about what wheel I'm going with or what wheel I'm planning for right now. But I do have emails off to the company. They're going to actually build me a custom set of wheels, and it's not horribly outrageous. It's not like forge wheel prices, but it's still a pretty decent wheel. So more to come on that. I'm hoping I can get that ordered. I'm going to ask them how long it'll take. But I'm probably going to keep that for a surprise until the wheels actually show up. I'm pretty excited about it. It's probably not something that's going to be everyone's taste, but building my car the way I want to build it.